All right, thanks again for watching. If you're watching this video, you're probably a Turo host or think about getting onto Turo. My name is John Domingo, and I'm just going to go through some questions that I got from another host that's looking at starting a new host, looking at now whether or not they should grow their fleet with either using leasing or financing, what are the pros and cons. So I'll jump right into it. Here's half of the questions that she sent over to me. So this is going to be part one of a two-part video. And again, I'm just going to go through maybe 4 or 5 things, and then we'll go to part 2 on the other ones. And so at the end of this or during this video, if you have any questions, go and leave a comment down below, because I might add it on to part 2 of the video. And let's also get into a conversation just in case there's something I didn't miss or that you guys want me to elaborate as far as anything that I go over today. So first off, she asked me leasing or financing, pros and cons. For me, I'm all about leasing, right? So I'm not going to really get into financing. I think of leasing as financing is the same thing pretty much. But here's a few things, right? Leasing has a clear exit with an exit date. And it's very important to me now because I made a lot of mistakes. I'm going through some of these mistakes, not knowing when to exit out of my vehicles, right? And most of the time, it was always because I wanted a newer vehicle. I wanted to be more competitive. But when you're financing, you really have to calculate all that out. And you really have to think about what the loan to value is. You know, in 1 year to 2 years, you have to anticipate what that would be, and then you have to look at the market, and the market could shift. A lot of things can happen, right? So leasing has a clear exit with an exit date. Now, just by this first line right here is one of the number one reasons why I like this, for if you're treating this like a business. Now, if you're looking at owning this car, of course, financing is probably the way you're gonna go. But even if I was to own a car, I probably still would want to lease it, because in about 2 years, I'd probably want the newer version, the newer model. Leasing usually comes with a service contract. Now, I know that it doesn't always, and I know you could do it with financing as well too, but it's really easy from my experience. It either comes with it, or like a BMW, a lot of the leasing contracts or the service contracts, the oil change, anything like that already came with it. I know at Mercedes-Benz, they added it on. It was like an extra, I don't know, $12 per month, which it made sense. So it might have even been a little bit cheaper than that. So I like the negotiation, or the fact that it comes with a lease. And if you're keeping the lease for 24,000 miles, they make sure that you have a service contract for 24,000 miles. Here's another big one, especially if you like this type of business, or if you probably will end up liking this type of business, you'll probably want some more cars. And leases on your credit report, and leases in general, are just a whole lot easier to qualify for. It's bottom line, it's easier to qualify for multiple leases than it is to have multiple loans. So that's a big factor when thinking about growing your fleet, or when it's time to grow your fleet, or to make sure that you have that option to grow your fleet. Leases also factor in depreciation. That's kind of the nice part of it. If you're not leasing, again, you're going to have to think about how much your car will depreciate with the amount of miles that you're going to be putting onto it, and what that value is, and where's your loan going to be. Hopefully you're not upside down, meaning your loan is higher than what you could sell the car for. And that's the whole thing where I like leases. I know in 2 years I can give it up, and I wash my hands from the car, and they'll probably want to get me into another car. They'll be highly motivated to get me into another car to keep me as a customer. Leases are flexible and negotiable. When they negotiate the numbers on the lease, they have to mess with this thing called the money factor, which I think is kind of like the percentage, or acts similar to a percentage. And they also have to give the value, or they mess with the number of the value of the car at the end of the term. So they factor in the depreciation, they factor what the car is going to be worth. And a lot of times the reason why the monthly is higher than you would like it, it's because they put such a low value of what the car is going to be at the end of the lease term. So it's their brand, it's their car. Why are they lowballing it? So there's always room for there's room for flexibility, and it's negotiable as far as those numbers, especially if you go to a brand like Mercedes-Benz, where they're dealing with leases. I would have to say 95% of the time, 90% of the time. Very rarely are people financing. I think most people are leasing, but don't quote me on that. That's just what I think. So here's another question. In an accident, I get this question quite a lot. Does Turo ask to see your car lease or finance agreement? Never has this happened. I've gone through a dozen plus claims and a handful of total losses, and I've never had to. Turo's never even asked for a finance agreement or a lease agreement. So, but what they will ask is for who the lender is when it's time for payout, and that's just part of the process. So, no, the answer is no to that. How do you deal with accidents? This question was kind of a long question, but this is just kind of a general 5-point hitters to like kind of think about, but just know it's on this number one. Turo handles the entire claims process entirely. You're not there sitting behind the phone trying to track these people, trying to pull these documents, you're not doing any of that. Claims are usually processed within 2 to 6 weeks, which is nice. And total loss claims are settled directly. Again, nothing needs to ever cross your path. You might have to sign something. That's about it. But that's not always the case. You don't always have to sign something. The process isn't always exactly the same. A lot of it's pretty smooth. Total loss claims sometimes might take a little bit long. I think the longest the total loss claim has taken me was about 7 weeks. So 2 to 6 weeks, that's generally speaking. I've seen also claims settle in 1 week. I've seen claims actually settled in 3 or 4 days. Here's the 2 things that you just have to do. One, you have to make sure you have pictures. Your pre-trip photos, all angles, making sure you get the condition of your car. Take 100 pictures. Take 200 pictures if you suck at taking pictures, but take 200 pictures. Take them under the light. Take them during the day. Don't take them at nighttime. Just make sure you have the pre-trip photos, and then make sure you have the post-trip photos where you have the photos shortly after or as the reservation ends. Don't wait too long. Don't move the car. Take the pictures. You need more light because it's dark outside. Get your 100 to 200 pictures of the damage so that you have it at all angles, so it just streamlines the whole claim process and just makes it a whole lot easier. And there's nothing that they can come after you because that can cause a delay. Well, or it can cause a claim not to be paid. Here's another tip, and again, you don't necessarily have to do this, but I would advise to kind of keep some kind of consistency in this. You have to make sure you follow up daily, right? And for me, I always follow up daily with the body shop. Make good friends with the guy, and so I'm always just touching base with him. Hey, how's everything going? Is there any delays? Who's causing the delay? And he'll usually tell me. Usually when he tells me, Turo's doing this, claim adjusters, I'm waiting on this, or they're supposed to schedule, I'll usually send out an email, a message somewhere, somehow, making sure that the body shop, my guy, knows that I'm on top of it, and also that these other people, so you can kind of help them push. Maybe that one email, that one phone call, that one text message might make them process or communicate faster, and maybe just one day faster. So instead of waiting till the next day in the morning time to send out an email, they are sending out an email or making that phone call the day of, by the end of the day. So it just speeds up the process quite a bit, and it makes a difference. So that's pretty much your only job. Dealing with accidents, though, it's not a big issue. Here's another big one, and this should freak you out if you don't set it up or don't think about it correctly. Mileage overages on lease. When you get a new lease, chances are you can get very low miles. So number one is make sure that you have a high mileage lease of about 15,000 miles per year, and that's generally speaking. It could be less for the type of car that you're renting out or that you're hosting. It could be a little bit more, but I've seen 15,000 as a sweet spot across the board for all the different types of cars that I've had. And a lot of times your monthly payment on the lease special. So if you see a C300 going for $250 on a lease special, you ask them for a high mileage lease, bumping up to 15,000. You'll probably see that payment jump up to $600, $700 even. So try to negotiate that. Be expecting that. Of course, these numbers are based off of a no money down. And no, I've never put money down. I think I've paid $300 for money down on a lease. But other than that, I've never paid the money down. money down on a lease or finance. Try to avoid leasing road trip type cars. I was thinking about getting an Escalade, but that might be a car that might go on long road trips. And the Escalade leases are a good number, but if you double that price, it doesn't make sense. So I'll be looking for this type of car to add to my fleet, but start looking at those cars, especially the ones with a third row seat. Those typically go on long trips, or they go on a lot of medium-sized trips, could add up. Do the math. I would say 16 to 18,000 miles just to be safe if you're thinking about an SUV or something with 3 rows of seating. Here's the last one. Settle mileage overage if you do have it with a new lease. Meaning if you owe them a couple $1,000s in overages at the end of the lease, try to negotiate for them not to roll it over. Don't have them add it on, that balance onto your next lease, but leverage out you going into a new lease where they pay for that lease overage out of their pocket, right? Make sure that's clear, make sure it's in the paperwork, make sure that they don't roll it over in any way possible. I would even say watch out for them, and this might in some cases be okay, where they discount the car to fit in that couple $1,000s, where so your monthly payment didn't make a difference, but if they can pay for it and they could still take off that discount, that'd be the better deal. So work for that deal and leverage out that you're going to be a continued customer, and that you just need them to pay that extra $2,000, $3,000 out of their pocket to get you or keep you as a loyal customer. So here's the last one of part 1. We'll get into part 2. Again, leave a comment down below on anything that I might have missed or that you might want to see on part 2. There's another 4 more questions that this new host wanted to ask, and I promised her that I would cover it line by line and go into it, but it's going to be 2 videos. So the last one is, what about wear and tear? I got lucky in my last one. I thought I was going to have some crazy amount of money that I have to pay, but it wasn't. But here's a few things that I've learned and that I would do. One would be I would immediately replace on a new lease that I took possession of. I would replace and store the OEM tires that it came with, because those are usually expensive. To give you an example, on a C300 AMG package or whatever AMG line, the tires, magnesium wheels, right? Those tires are anywhere from $250 to $290. So I could be spending $1,000 on a new set of tires by the time I return it, right? So what I would do is I would take off the tires and put some pretty good tires, more affordable tires at the $175, $180 to $200, saving me a little bit of money, and taking those $200 tires, putting them on, right? When it's time for a lease return, I go and put those tires back on, and usually it's going to be based off of, I'm going to get tires that are going to last me a little bit longer. A lot of times when they put those tires on, they put on the real sticky ones, and they can go by real quick. So there's tires that you can purchase, and reach out to me or ask your tire guy. They'll let you know which one will last, rated 36,000, 50,000 miles, and still give you not the racetrack performance, but good enough for the street, even at high speeds. So make sure you get those tires, swap them out. You should only swap them once. You're spending $200, $400, $600, $700 on a whole new set of tires that should last you throughout the whole term of the lease, and then you just put those back. You might have to put them back a little bit after, but still, even if it didn't last you through the whole term, you'll still have those Michelins or those Continentals or the OEM ones that you could put on, and you could still run probably a good 3 to 6 months on those tires and still return it and not have to worry about the tires. Here's what I would do, and it's worked out in the past when I've done it in the past, is I've purchased wear and tear contracts, or no, I'm sorry, I was offered wear and tear contracts, but I did not pick it up. But now thinking about it, I would have tried to negotiate the price to where it only added $5 to $7 onto my monthly, where I wouldn't have to worry about it, because a lot of these wear and tear contracts, you pretty much drop off the car, bald tires, whatever it may be, and they take care of it. So that's something that I would advise that I would do next time I'm getting to a lease. I would really find out about that contract, because it would be nice to be able to say, here you go. There's a couple dents, dings, and whatever there may be, but I guess that's all covered, right? So that's a nice exit out, and it's nice and clean. Another one is same thing as I would purchase any of the additional add-on packages like the PDR, which is paintless dent removal, or windshield chip contracts that they provide, because that could also save you money. But that also has a nice service because you know exactly what they offer a deductible in some of these cases where a little dent they can come out and fix, and it's $50. Windshield chip, $50. Windshield replacement, though I think they give you credit towards it. But every company's different, and every dealership I think might be a little bit different as well too. I'm not too exactly sure, but look into the purchasing any of these contracts that'll help you save from any wear and tear that could possibly happen on your lease. Brakes, that's a big thing. If it's a Corvette, you're probably gonna go through brakes a lot faster than a luxury car. Like the Mercedes-Benz, I've never had a Mercedes-Benz where I've had to replace the brakes, especially on a lease. Giving it up in 36,000 miles, your brakes should last. Now, it's different for a Corvette. Now, if you're leasing a C7 or a C8 or even a Porsche, you're probably gonna have to replace the brakes 15,000 miles is my best guess, especially on these performance cars, because if they're going fast, they're braking fast, they're braking hard. Last but not least, curb rash. And really, you just want to keep these prices in mind and make sure curb rash is a big thing in the car rental business. And so just know that to repair a wheel, it's $65 to $95 for curb rash, dents, dings, whatever, restoring that one wheel. Or a whole new set for $350 for the set, which is real nice because if you have, like, for example, BMW 2 Series or C300 convertible, and you get a wheel banged up, a lot of times Turo will pay out anywhere from $180 to $250. So for me, I would just get all the wheels done, because you never know when you have that small little dent that's often a little bit of vibration at like a certain speed of 55 to 60 miles an hour, and nobody else notices it but you. But it's always nice to have a whole new, all your $350, and your tires are made back to normal, and all the dents and dings and bends are corrected. It's like having brand new wheels. Plus, it'll make your tires last longer, and the car just drives so much better. So that's pretty much it. This is part one of a two-part video series of leases. And the best thing that you could do for me and for everyone else is ask a question down below. Maybe it's a question that you want answered. On the next video, I'll go in depth about anything that we covered here today, but I'm also answering all the questions down in the comment section for all the videos. So I definitely appreciate you participating and watching this video. Until the next time, thanks for watching.